Alright, I have started the recording. I haven't tested Uther yet, but I don't know when we're going to need him.
Currently working.
So it's been almost a month since our last session, so I'm gonna do the retelling here, unless somebody else has special things they want to add. But I just want to help bring everyone up to speed. Hopefully, as you all recall, you had cities. They were you had a regular meeting spot, and then some dudes from an empire came down. And at first they just said, hey, can you send us some soldiers to help guard our wall? And broadly speaking, you guys said, maybe. And then they came and said, all right, you're not sending soldiers, but can you send us some like food and supplies? And you guys kind of said, maybe. And then they came down and they said, okay, you guys haven't sent us soldiers, you haven't sent us food, so we're going to take over. And then they bombed your meeting place. So, being now at a state of war, you guys sent a strike group into the heart of the enemy territory to try and deal with the central problem. While they are fighting a very real threat of a demonic invasion from the north, the Empire itself seems to be enlisting demonic aid of its own, and in so doing are magically enchanting their soldiers to be very, very powerful, and in particular to withstand fiery attacks, which is one of your better weapons, are fireball spells. So, in light of this, your strike team has been sent in to try to stop whatever their source of demonic magic is, so that they can, your guys can have a fighting chance against armies that are no longer covered in glowing orange runes and filled with demonic power. To that end, you built a little cart and rode down a tunnel that took you deep under the mountain range that the Empire is built upon, and into a city where dwarven laborers are essentially kept in a state of perpetual slavery by a rigged gambling system that lets them gamble their paychecks for the chance at better accommodations, but of course the system is always rigged to make sure that a certain percentage is kept below the poverty line and forced to work in the mines. Some of those people were being forced to dig tunnels underneath your cities to try and deliver troops. Those tunnels had only just begun construction when you arrived, and with the help of those liberated dwarves, you guys sabotaged that tunnel, sending the dwarves back up to join your cities up the tunnels that before they set off the bombs. But with the detonations going off, shale and just generally undiggable muck has rained down from above and cut off this avenue. So not only can the Empire not use this place to dig tunnels underneath your cities to invade, but also you can't go back the way you came. And so you're currently stuck in a dwarven city. There are roads out of the city. One in particular leads to the capital of the Empire, and a member of your party has acquired disguises and papers for all of you. Fortunately, no one is playing a dwarf. All of you are playing as humans, or human-like structures of undead energy. And so it is that you have been able to travel on this upward ramp past armies that are now stopped trying to figure out what they're supposed to be doing, as they could head down, but there's no point in heading down, so they're thinking about heading back. The sort of general disposition among the enlisted seems to be that the dwarves are incompetent and that they screwed up their own construction project and put no thought whatsoever into the farmlands above them that are now suffering sinkholes as a result of the dwarven failed digging expedition. The officers do not seem to be sharing that bit of gossip, but are keeping to themselves. Every now and then, your spying reveals that the officers do believe it was sabotage, but they're not sure how yet. They just know that the enemies they are fighting do wield magics that the enlisted men are not allowed to know about. Seems like a propaganda thing. They want to make sure that the propaganda is that the enemy they're fighting are incompetent, so you'll be able to easily sweep through them and they won't kill you by the thousands. And up and up and up you go. Your papers are well forged, and you eventually find yourself emerging not onto like open mountain spaces as you might think, but actually into a city. First into sort of an undercity with where the underground ramp opens up with shops on the side, a thriving sort of trade economy, and then eventually the ramp has daylight shining down it, and it just rises directly up onto a major thoroughfare going through a city. You are, in fact, already inside the walls of the city. And, yeah, and here you are at the capital city. One thing you have noticed, the soldiers that have been marching down the ramp, the soldiers that you'd passed, they are also have glowing orange runes on them. It looks like each one of them has somewhere on their body, it's not always in the same spot, but somewhere on them they have a brand that's branded in, and the brand is continuing to glow, and occasionally little embers flick away from it and float on the breeze. In large groups, there's like a noticeable orange glow in the caverns. Out here, it's not as noticeable. Here in the daylight, it's a much more subtle effect, but again, like when large groups of these guys are gathered, there's clearly little glowing embers just kind of floating around the group. Only the soldiers, though. The merchants seem immune from this condition, whatever it may be. You are in the merchant quarters of a big city. This is an unfamiliar city to most of you, except, I believe, for... where are you? For... I almost said your real name. For Belial.
Indeed.
The former intern of the consulate from the Empire, who is with you, who's been helping you guys since the Empire betrayed him and tried to blow him up. Now, you weren't here long, Belial. You came through a portal that they had opened in the Capitol building. There's a large forum in the middle that used to be a place of debate that they've converted into a portal that they brought you through from Avernus. And they just sort of marched you on down. But yeah, while you know the way there, you don't know much else about the city. This was a pretty straight shot. They took you through the portal, out the front gate, and then you traversed over the mountains to your post. I think, did anybody want to add anything that they did, or... I know, Ed, you're in a cage.
I'm in a cage. I'm recording what I view to be the laws of the territory.
Well, while the rest of you guys kind of get acclimated to your situation, we'll skip over to Ed for just a moment for a brief scene. Your cage is wheeled into a building. It's a pretty posh building. Looks like like an embassy, but it doesn't appear to be an embassy for any particular nation. It just has that kind of poshness about it. Very ladies' ward kind of stuff. And they don't actually open the cage quite yet, but the person who is pushing the cart, the general, she then sort of leaves her attendant, that sort of that hunched over man who's always kind of squealing by her side, and she just sort of marches off. He goes over to a little crystal ball and begins whispering into it. The voice that comes out of it is like a booming voice. So you get to hear the answers to his queries, though you can't hear what he himself is saying. The answers are, what? Okay, so what's the problem? Wait, which faction? Oh, god damn it. Okay. Don't do anything, I'll be right there. Meanwhile, back on the streets.
So do we have like literally everybody back together, like both of the groups?
Yes. So you currently have 4 champions and 4 squires. So you have an expert bowman, an undead swordsman, a wizard of earth magics, a druid of some significant power, um, a druid squire of very little power, um, a person who carries ammo for the archer, um, some kind of accountant, an alchemist, and yeah.
But I'm lost. Do we have both sets here?
Yes.
The champions and the squires?
Champions and the squires are together here.
Okay.
The champions succeeded in their demolition their demolition exercise, and the squires succeeded in acquiring disguises and false papers.
So I guess we would just continue. I mean, do we have a destination that we're headed to? I mean, to stop the forest, right?
In a way, yes. I mean, there's one of your members, if he wants to speak of it, does know of a portal that is how he got here, and that's what the demons are going to use to reinforce it. That may also be the source of the magics that they're using to enchant the soldiers, which makes them nearly impossible to confront in a direct military engagement.
Yes, there is a portal in the city that I was ushered through. It's a possibility that they're also using the portal to bring other things in that help them increase their strength and also make them seem to immune to fire. They might have an excellent scriber there, or a powerful wizard, depending on how they place these enchantments on the soldiers. But that would take some time and a lot of effort. So I think the portal room might be the first place we would want to check out.
The portal room is in the capital, what used to be a meeting of the Senate before autocracy took over the empire. If you can make your way into the Capitol building and find the debate floor where the Senate once held their debates, that's where you'll find the portal.
So we'll have to go into the Senate building.
It comes as no surprise to you that this building is guarded, and the papers you have, while excellent traveling papers, may not take you any further. You're welcome to test them. As a GM, I'm allowing that, but there may be consequences if they're found to be faulty, and these consequences will be far harsher than they would be on the road. This has become a military installation, the government building. The Empire does like to build big, though. They definitely were building tall in this place. So the open-air market that you're in is overseen by several towers that rise in all directions, and networks of bridges cross between the towers, casting interesting shadows onto the marketplace. Largest of these is only a tower in name. It's very squat in terms of its general demeanor, but it does rise up significantly above the marketplace. And on top of that are other towers, one of which is the Capitol building.
One of the plans that I've come up with is that could potentially be mercenaries for hire. Find some papers in this capital area to be able to solidify that and use that to get into the potential room to get branded yet. But of course, the last minute will not be getting branded.
That's an idea. Or we can create a large problem that most of the city guards have to deal with, and then what forces we might find would be thinner if we barged our way through.
Well, let's see here. Well, we need to find. We need several things to be able to cause that big of a scene while not being caught in it.
Maybe not. Depends.
Also depends on the status of a potential allies in the city. If they had not, if the city has not already gone in there and killed everyone. One of the cities does have an embassy. We do not know if it's currently been burnt down or if it's been locked down, but there might be potential things in there for us to help get through this problem.
There might. Embassies would be definitely on top of the large, squat erection of the city, near the Capitol building. So that is a place you could go explore.
Would my mage be able to contact any spies? I mean, I had tailed a couple of people to those guys the first time. They kind of asked nicely, and they kind of just disappeared. So I don't know if they're still around or.
They may very well still be around. Their intention was to go to the wall, which is much further north, but you could seek them out. You're not sure that if you announce your allegiance, you'll be considered welcome here.
True.
They did pretty openly declare war on your people. Any place can contain military records, though, would be the place to start if you wanted to look for them.
Yeah, I mean, we can. If he wants to try to go to like an embassy or whatever, we can see if, on the way I find anybody or anything.
Yes, and also possibly in the embassies we might be able to find some records or something that might be able to get us into the Senate building, because it is.
All right. So it sounds like 2 votes for going to the embassy. Kite? Does Feist have a preference?
Sorry, I'm distracted with work. I don't. This is very unfamiliar territory for me, so if they think it's best to head in that direction, I think I will follow.
The territory is definitely way more open than the undergrounds, but you also trained as a sniper to stand on watchtowers. And this is basically a city of watchtowers, larger than you've ever seen. you count around you hundreds, maybe even thousands of possible targets you could get headshots on just from where you're standing.
Keep that in mind as a potential. I may be climbing a watchtower at some point. But until then, I'll keep surveying kind of as I follow these guys around and kind of keep an eye on what they're.
All right. So you guys make your way up a series of ramps. There are stairs off to the side which make for little shortcuts, and so you're able to take a few of those since you guys are not pushing carts. But it looks like everywhere has been made ramp accessible, though some of it involves lots of zigzagging. It looks like carts are a big deal here. And some of the steeper ramps even have pulley systems hooked up to them where merchants who have goods that need to go up to the higher places hitch their cart to a hook with a rope, and then they basically turn a crank and a pulley system pulls their cart up the ramp so that they don't have to heave and hoe with heavy swords and armor and things. Eventually you get to the top of this large circular piece and you get a pretty incredible view. From the top of it you can turn around and look south and see down into the valley. You don't quite see your guys' cities, but you can just barely make out the coast from the top here. It's a pretty impressive sight. You can see why someone might stand up here and think they own everything. Turning back to the north, there are 5 large towers here. The one in the middle is clearly the Senate Tower, but the bases of the other towers are dotted with buildings that are not, strictly speaking, part of the tower themselves. Some of these buildings look very nice indeed, maybe embassy style, and one of them does happen to have a barrel out beside it with some banners currently being burned. You recognize upon them the colors of the city of Runeterra. They appear to be disposing of unneeded equipment.
Well, I guess we'll need to make haste. Make sure you get best. So, we are currently traveling merchants, and we are going to be, and we were going to do some trade with the city of Runeterra, but it seems like something is happening to them. So, a couple of us will talk to whoever is there, while the other people will go inside the building if they're distracted enough. Is that a good plan?
As you approach the building, you sort of like turn and hide your identities just in time as you see the door burst open, and it's the assistant to that general, the guy who was glowing red and melting armor, is being dragged out into the streets by none other than your previous boss. The man that everybody thought might be a vampire. The carnivorous one. He is dragging the guy into the street, throwing him down onto the cobbles and shouting and berating at him in a language that none of you understand. Unless one of you happens to have the talent that says you understand every language.
I have that. It's not a talent, though.
Unfortunately, you were in a cage. But they have left the door ajar. The door is open and you could sneak into the embassy. Unseen, if you want to.
Sure.
Do I believe that it is against the rules to leave the cage?
We're going to get to you in just a moment.
Oh, sorry.
So,
We're almost to.
So Ed, the gentleman is sort of pacing and looking worried when a man that I don't think you've seen before comes into the room. He clearly has filed his teeth into points to look as carnivorous as possible. And you recognize immediately demonic attributes to him. If not a tiefling, he's something worse. And he immediately turns to you and says, "I apologize. There has been clearly some great misunderstanding, and I am hoping that we will amend things if we can have a discussion as to why you are here in what is clearly a contained zone."
Agreed. I would welcome a discussion.
As you may or may not be aware, it was somewhat recently agreed that due to the destruction of multiple prime worlds and the ripple effect that this has had throughout the planes, a variety of prime worlds were declared as preserves, not to be interfered with by the factions. We, as Beatazu, are not, strictly speaking, bound by faction rules, but many of us are members of factions and prefer to maintain good relationships. As such, we have been working hard to contain a threat of Tanari to this prime world. You seem to have somehow gotten around the barriers. Something that I'm sure was an act of great cleverness for you, but as someone who follows rules, you may perhaps wish to have us correct that error.
Say, oh no, no error. Nothing sneaky going on here. Portals are everywhere. I'm actually on my way through to Jangling Hitter, and I was picked up by your troops on the way. This is a path that my scribes found this over at the Fraternity of Order, found this path to be the most efficient one. So I was traveling along this path. We didn't have any notifications of this world being protected or of these portals being closed. Otherwise, of course, we would have found a different path. So I do apologize if I've caused any undue trouble, but I haven't done anything. I haven't made any significant influence on this world. It's like, and the order here seems to be just, I don't know. It's pretty chaotic, if you ask me.
An unfortunate consequence of Tanari invasions, and something that, of course, we want to correct. Bringing order to chaotic systems has always been a goal of the Beatazu hierarchy.
And a worthy goal at that. I fully support that goal, though we may disagree on the method.
We may, and that is fair, and we are allowed to disagree on the methods, as long as we agree that we are within our rights to take the actions that we are taking.
Yes, of course. I have no jurisdiction, even if I wanted to, and I don't. My main goal is to get myself to Jangling Hitter and continue on with my business.
And I would be happy to help you with that. We do have a gate to Jangling Hitter currently open. At this point, the other man in the room, the sort of scholarly and yet inexplicably violent man, grabs his shoulder and says, "You cannot let him go there. That is a strictly military-only territory while we are constructing." And you see for a moment a flicker of red and gold feathers kind of underneath this guy's shirt as he turns to face the scholarly man. The man's runes begin to light up as though he's getting ready to make some kind of magical attack, and this guy basically just decks him in the face. So the guy who's being very polite to you is now dragging this man out of the building, and you don't see what happens next. However, as the door is left open, it's not long before a group of 8 adventurers just kind of wander in.
Awesome.
I assume we think we're sneaking, but we're probably not sneaking very well.
It doesn't really matter, though, considering the spectacle that's happening on the street, as two very, very powerful people are just beating the shit out of each other.
Companions. I've seen these people before, right?
Several of them, yes. So some of them you only saw at the party, but some of these guys you traveled with to the party. The party that exploded.
I am glad that you are doing well. It is a bit of a there's a bit of a difficult situation here. It looks like bit of a quarantine zone. So I'm going to have to go ahead and get out of here as quickly as possible. But it was very nice to learn of your customs and rules, even if they don't seem to make a lot of sense to me. But you know.
The man who's speaking to you and is talking about leaving is currently in a cage.
Well, if he wants out, I guess we let him out.
How would you like to free him from the cage?
Is anybody a locksmith or anything?
Your party possesses an abhorrent amount of magic.
So was that we are entering the building that he was in, or?
You've been in that building now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if nobody has anything like lock specific, I mean, is it a metal cage?
It is.
I mean, metal is technically of earth, so I can try to bend the bars.
Metal is earth adjacent, yes. You'll be doing so, if you're using your kinetic magic on it, you'll be doing so without the benefit of your mastery.
No.
Yeah, technically mineral is a separate element from earth. It's earth plus positive energy is how you get mineral.
While he's doing this, Vice has instructed Loken to just start looking for a key of some sort.
You're pretty sure you spotted keys on the gentlemen who were fighting outside.
That's not my role. I was making sure Uther was up.
I would hope not. You'd be a pretty shitty earth wizard there.
I didn't want to do anything massive, because then you'd think it was my role. I forget what I have to roll for that stuff again. It's been a while.
Magic is your potential. I believe your character has an artifact that grants you pips when using certain kinds of magic.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Forward
Forward slashes, backslashes. Okay, it's not delicate work. You're not like cleverly manipulating the lock to come apart. You just sort of bend the bars out of the way and make the space so he can step through.
Yay.
Ed, you are slightly concerned that this wizard may have just committed damage to someone else's property, but there is now a hole in the cage.
It's okay. It's okay. I say, you've got some talent. Do you stone tickler?
Earth mover, but yeah.
He says, very good, very good. And I say, it's okay, no offense. Ganassi aren't ticklish.
There is definite elemental energy around this man, Max. It's just not your kind of energy.
Would somebody like my guy that's like a master of Earth, would, if there was like an Earth Ganassi, would I be like the bane of their existence?
More likely they'd be the bane of yours.
Ah, okay.
But Ganassi aren't ticklish. They can't be summoned.
Ah.
My uncle was ticklish, but he wasn't a rock.
Yeah. Well, I guess while the people outside are distracted, maybe we can find something in here that might help us either get into the portal room, or like yeah, or aid us in it. Let's see, papers, maybe some kind of possible spells that the city has had here.
You do see a lot of documents here. These do appear to be documents from an embassy that's since closed. Its occupants forcibly removed. And so things have not been cleaned up particularly well. But also they're not documents that would necessarily help you because these people became enemies.
Well, for setting me free, I suppose I owe you something. How can I help you with your goals before I go ahead and get out?
We're bringing down the Empire, so actually, we're trying to stop uh, the demonic power that the Empire soldiers are feeding off of right now.
Well, from my perspective, the demonic power that the Empire soldiers are feeding off of, as you so eloquently put it, is attempting to prevent what is a significantly more destructive demonic power from sweeping over the land like locusts. It's all very complicated, but I assure you, it's all by the book. It is a bit suspicious putting me in a cage and all that, and not charging me with anything, which was just quite strange. I'm definitely going to put in a complaint at the courts when I get.
Oh yes, the courts. There are several cases that'll be against them in the courts currently. One of them. Well, they tried to assassinate every single member, every single high leader of this realm, as an attempt to coup to get full control of this world.
I don't think that's illegal.
Mass murder is not illegal.
Well, in some cases it is. Some cases it isn't.
I mean,
Depends.
it would depend. I mean, genocide is generally viewed with distaste and somewhat illegal, but I mean, mass genocide. There's what, maybe 100,000, few 100,000, maybe 500,000 people here.
Yeah, it's a very small population.
I mean, in the blood war, I mean, that's a small battle.
Also depends on how this world is classified as well.
True, and I'm not sure how that works. Not my place, I must say.
It looks like the fight outside is winding down. The guy that was being nice to you, Ed, seems to have won, but does not seem to be coming back. He's dragging the other guy towards the central spire. Presumably the main seat of government now.
Very hierarchical, territorial people, Beatazun. Not the kind to. Let's just say it's never a good time to overstep one's rank.
It seems that the primes that the Beatazu have been enchanting and empowering have not quite fully grasped that, as this one challenged the other one's decisions, which proved very unwise.
He like takes interest in that guy and is like making comments about him. And my Earth Mover guy is like, well, be careful. But the people of my land believe that he's a vampire.
Oh, that's funny.
A vampire. I knew a vampire once. He was a nice fellow.
But yes, our current plan is to try to go into the main the heart of the council room to find a potential to find a portal that will head to, where was it again? Or at least where I came from.
When you came through it, it was Avernus.
The last time I went through the portal, it was Avernus, but I'm not sure if it's currently that, or it might be something else currently. But whoever it is, it might be the potential of where the demonic power is coming from, and if potential shutting it down might cause the city states to be able to start a counter. Because if the city states are able to at least cause the empire to fall back a bit, the empire might be able to be in more talking terms than in a war site. And this might just be, they might, instead of having a potential hundreds of people bloodshed, that we could just settle it with several people instead.
Well, I'm not heading to Avernus, but it is in the ballpark, I suppose. I pull out something that looks like a giant steampunk abacus.
Giant steampunk what?
Abacus and start like moving things.
So you're saying where do you want to go? Where are you heading off to?
Ultimately, Sigil, though via Jangling Hitter.
Well, it seems like we both have a problem that needs something fixed. As he pulls out a book, I have a compromise. If you aid us in shutting down this portal, we might be able to find a way of aiding you at finding a portal to Sigil. Does this sound like fair terms?
Sure, I suppose.
Okay, just give me
It is a
moment.
very specific portal to Sigil. I just came from Sigil to here, and now I'm going back via a different path. It's very specific that I go back via that.
You recognize the artifact that he's pulled out, and as a governor, you've seen these before. It's a contract book. It basically puts a kind of a minor form of a guise on people. So it's a way of enforcing contracts at range.
Oh, I see.
The neat thing about them, because they were developed by the governors, is that these sorts of books work both ways. They affect the owner of the book just as much as they affect the signatories. So any agreement you make with him that the two of you sign into the book, he'll be as bound to it as you are.
And yes, I will write down in the simplest terms of basically just like, if you help us with taking out this portal, we'll help you find your specific portal.
Of course, no problem. I don't sign anything, though.
Okay. So he is not signing your book, he's just verbally agreeing. He is Fraternity of Order, and...
I'm Fraternity of Order. I've never been asked to sign a contract in my life.
Yeah. So one thing you can be quite certain of is that if he's given you a verbal agreement, he will follow through.
All right, then.
If anything, the use of the contract book would be to reassure him that you intend to follow through with your end of the bargain. Since which faction logo are you wearing right now?
The was it the look it down. The source.
Okay. Yeah, he's a believer of the source. So yeah. Basically, Ed, you don't have to sign the contract. And he'll completely trust that you're going to follow through because of who you are. But if you do sign it, then he'll be bound to his end of the agreement as well.
That's fine.
Okay.
He'll be bound to. My view is that he'll be bound to his end of the agreement either way.
Very good. So no signature is needed then. You guys have an accord. You will help each other find your portals.
Indeed.
What about all the lemons? I say. Are they with you, or just following us around? And I kind of look at the rest. I'm quite fond of the Stone Tickler.
Of course, everyone else here has a stake in this. For me, this is just more of a temp job that went awry.
Indeed. Same here.
There are 5 classic lemons, and then one that's kind of fancy. He's an undead swashbuckler.
Okay.
Still technically a lemon, but yeah. A bit off the normal lemon curve.
Yeah, Jacques gives a little bow with his hat. He's like, "It's good to meet you."
Pretty sure I take offense of being called a lemon.
I guess that's why you're so sour.
And now I heavily try to resist clocking whoever just said that in the face. Actually, I probably do just punch whoever said that in the face if someone said it.
So
if it's outside of the game, it's fine.
These two are really into their order and stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
They are very anti-chaos.
One of them is directly opposed to chaos. He is. His faction is called the Fraternity of Order.
I don't know how I feel about that as a chaos attack with 4 points into my faction.
I'm not opposed to chaos. It's just that people are mistaking that chaos exists.
I don't know that I want to do anything right now, but later I'm going to show you chaos exists.
So there's no telling when one of these demons is going to come back, but right now you guys have a clear shot across the street to the main tower, where the demons just went into.
Well, I collect my books and scrolls, and I begin heading in that direction.
All right.
Yes. Jacques and Belial will follow behind with post haste.
I'm assuming you have a key to this portal?
You do not.
We do not currently.
Well, I will help you find it in any case.
All right. So the main door to the Senate is very large and is currently open. And there is a parade of military personnel filing out 2 by 2 with fresh glowing runes on them. Within, you are not challenged immediately, but you do see the man who was the guy who was being nice to you, the guy you all thought was a vampire, and he is undergone a bit of a change. You see bright red wings that have come out from his back that are kind of glittering with a golden tint. Upon getting closer, you see it's because each feather on his wings is blood red, but with gold on the tip. And not yellow gold, but like gold, like metallic, reflecting the light with a glimmer. These wings do make him look quite angelic if it wasn't for the color. Ed, you now immediately recognize he is an Erinyes. Actually, that would be also true for Belial and for Where's the Alchemist. He is an Erinyes, one of the Beata Zoo hierarchy. To everyone else, it looks like a bird person.
My Earth Mover guy is like elbowing people. Like, see, look, that's what happens. It's a vampire. It's a true form.
The soldiers pay no heed and maintain discipline, but the various sort of bookkeepers and stuff that are scurrying around look at you kind of weird and you're like, don't mess with that guy. It's worse than you think. The unconscious figure that was once quite imposing a few days ago is being dragged off for punishment. And the sort of bird person, the Erinyes, turns around. His face is incredibly handsome, marred only by the fact that his teeth are sharp points. Maybe they're not being filed, do you think now? Do you think maybe he's just a demon and has sharp pointy teeth? He carefully folds his wings back in, addresses us, I see you're out of your cage. It is just as well. I have dealt with the problem, and we are on our way. Who are these who are with you?
They are some crudes that were following me around. I met them earlier when I first. They seem to be mostly harmless.
His eyes narrow when he sees your character, Tice. Of course. Of no consequence, I'm certain. You sense lies falling through his teeth. He begins to lead you guys down a corridor. Yeah. Does anyone here have any particular skill with sensing motives or danger? Does anyone have the Admiral Akbar talent?
What a trap!
I have a high perception, but I'm pretty sure I don't have any of that stuff you just said. So.
I have omniscience.
I have omniscience as well.
I don't know that actually senses like people. It's more situations.
Yeah. Omniscience is just straightforwardly a cheat move.
So, the situation that you sense is that as you cross an intersection, you can clearly see down one intersection the glow of a portal, and he is not taking you in that direction. Behind you, you kind of hear the clomp of boots and notice that there are some guards that are starting to close on your position. They're wearing bright gold armor and have glowing runes on them. Up ahead at the next intersection, you see there are similar guards. You're about to be trapped in a space of hall between two intersections with guards closing on from both directions.
That sounds terrible.
You have a split second to make a decision.
I'm gonna head towards the portal.
Probably a good call.
Yeah, same. Can I bring up the ground in front of them and like a wall?
That is very Earth of you. Yes, go for it. This whole building's made of stone. You shouldn't have any trouble.
Yeah.
What direction are you doing?
Are they like surrounding us from all sides, including the portal one, or is it they're kind of closing in, but not particularly from the portals?
It looks like they were trying to isolate you away from the portal, not towards it. So if you escape, there's not going to be a guard in the way. But if you don't take action immediately, they're going to close off that escape, and you'll be stuck in a hallway with guards on both sides.
So where does that put us exactly? Like we're walking toward a hallway essentially, but we saw a off turn.
You saw an off turn. It had a portal that you could just barely make out kind of down the hall as you walked past it. You just saw it for a split second out of the corner of your eye. And then as your head was turned to look at it, you noticed behind you there's guards coming up to close off your escape.
Is the portal open? Is that why the
It is very open, yes.
Okay, head in that direction.
T5 is to look because of my mastery, right?
Right.
If I see him veer off, I just grab Asvice, grab Loken, and just quickly follow him.
I had 6 pips remaining on that. Nice.
All right, you crushed it. So what are you doing with your wall here?
Like, literally all of the floor/walls from the directions that guards are coming to us, just in their full girth, just merge together and block off. Like, they just see, like, stone and things, like a little hole, and it's like, that's it. To get to them now, it's like a, 3 or 3 inch thick wall, or, however thick the walls and floor are here.
All right. There now is nowhere else for you to run but towards the portal, since Max has closed off all other exits. But that's okay, because some of you were heading there anyway. So, Tal al-Sabil, you are the first to enter the room, followed rapidly by the archers. The druids come in behind, the alchemist, the undead, and then finally the earth wizard and the accountant. And as all of you pour into the room, what you see is the main form of the Senate floor. And standing in the middle of it is a 30-foot-tall, muscular, red-skinned demon. Great bat wings coming from its back, huge horns mounted from its head, a whip made of fire held in its one hand, and in its other hand, a glowing orb of energy coursing with what looks like a mix of flame and blood, and that energy is pouring out of it into a portal behind the demon. In this portal, you see a vast landscape of ash with balls of fire raining from the sky. Energy from this portal is leaping out to other places around the general sort of gallery where the senators would sit. You see a couple other much smaller portals, and you see a man who is gathering up the energy and using it to enchant soldiers. A block of about 30 soldiers here are awaiting enchantment as the man gathers energy. He's maybe about a quarter of the way through enchanting them. So there are some already enchanted, but not many.
Oh shit! That is a big ass vampire.
Yes, and you currently have no means of escape, as you've just blocked it.
Spectacular.
What? Someone blocked our escape?
Yes, Max used his earth magic to close up all of the walls behind you so that the soldiers that were coming up behind you couldn't.
Yeah, it's more like I stopped more reinforcements from even more reinforcements from coming to make this situation work.
Ah, okay. Yeah, because I was gone for like a few minutes.
Has it noticed us yet?
Yes.
Oh,
It is pulling back its hand with its whip. The whip is made of pure demonic fire.
I raise my hand and I say, "Greetings from the Fraternity of Order, here to oversee and audit the takeover of this protected world."
Okay, go ahead and make a roll. I assume you're trying to persuade.
Oh, this is gonna go bad.
What aptitude are you you utilizing here?
Let's go cunning.
Okay.
Let's go cunning and scholarship if I can, and I'm gonna try and remember everything I know about world protection or Beatazu's allowances to invade prime worlds. I can attempt persuasion.
Yeah, I mean, GM to player, the Beatazu's allowances is that there are no rules that Sigil can apply that actually apply to a Beatazu, unless the Beatazu wishes to be a member of a faction. But as demons, they're not mandated to be members of factions, and so
that is correct.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and just roll with my cunning then, I guess.
Alrighty. Cunning plus persuasion. This is exciting.
No, it's just cunning.
Okay. All right. So that's all right. Wait, is it not backslash anymore? Oh, shoot! I typed in the wrong. Sorry. I have two windows open for chat to get the stream to record correctly.
Jesus Christ.
And I need to figure out who he's attacking, so I'm going to give you guys some numbers. 1, 2. Three, that is 1, 2. Alabaster. A fiery whip wraps around the speaking scholar who is attempting to apply logic and reason to his plight. Grabs your character, wrapping itself around the character and burning them. You have an 18-point condition coming at you. What would you like to do to try and mitigate it?
Who is this?
Alabaster. This is Max's Geomancer.
Oh shit. It's my who?
Your Earth dude?
Oh,
Isn't that?
no.
Or was his name?
Oh, is it not Alabaster? What's his
Just
name?
Earth. No, he's just Earth Mover.
Just
I think
Earth
I
Mover? Okay.
was gonna name him that before, but yeah, no, he's Earth Mover. I don't have 18 points of health. Jesus Christ.
You may use other things to try and deal with it, but yeah, if you are unable to deal with all 18 points, then he wins in his objective, which is to kill you.
Jesus. I mean, I guess I have a lot of endurance.
Endurance is spent at a 5-to-1 ratio to do things. You probably have some like some resistance. What do you have? Like, do you have resist, avoid, notice, anything?
Oh, yeah, I mean, a little. I have 3 notice, 2 avoid, and 2 resist. What happens if I use all of it?
Will using all of it make you have enough health left to take the hit?
Do I just tax it to see how much health it'll give me?
Yeah, you tax it to reduce the total number coming against you.
So this is going to really wreck him if he potentially gets hit by this, right?
Yes, this is 18 successes coming at him.
I mean, it's if there's no multipliers or anything, that's like 7 points. I have 12 points of health.
Okay, 7 plus 12 is 19. So you would survive with 1 point of health remaining.
Jesus. All right, yay! I'm gonna die.
The whip burns into your skin, leaving marks, tearing your clothes asunder. Yeah, it's horrific in every possible way. The pain is unimaginable, and you are tossed into the air.
Oh, well, that sucks.
Who would like to go next?
I'm
You
just,
already did your turn there.
Yeah, I'm just going to continue my speech by saying, okay, well, it looks like the audit is concluded, and I think everybody should get the fucking report.
Around the edges of the room, there are some other portals. They are all guarded by a collection of guards. These guards have glowing runes on them. One of them, the guards seem to be kind of nervously looking over their shoulder. You do recall that somebody mentioned they had a special project going on in Jangling Hitter.
Okay.
Let's see. I guess I will have the pirate go next. So this is currently combat, right?
Yes. The room currently contains 1 pit lord, 30 soldiers that are being enchanted, Irenes who is enchanting them, another Irenes who's behind you trying to punch his way through 3 feet of solid stone. He's going to be a while, so you don't really have to worry about him. There's a couple Spinagons up in the rafters, and then there's 4 other portals leading to other places, each one of which has 4 guards around it.
Okay. Am I currently active target of any opponent?
Not exactly. You expect that the Pit Lord will eventually try and come after all of you, but currently, no.
Okay, Jacques will be activating one of his talents, combat stealth.
Ah, very nice. So Jacques has decided to hide.
But he's going to, as like Jacques is like, as the pit lord's like been like is like dealing with them. Then he's going to come from the side where the globe is, and he's going to be using his diplomacy. Well, his rapier is to slice at the arm of the pit lord, so to try to loosen the grip on the orb.
I love that your sword is named Diplomacy. That's awesome. All right. Yeah. Go ahead and make your roll. Actually, you don't need to make a roll to stealth, do you? Like, the talent just does it. Is that correct?
Yeah, you burn a stealth in your stealth.
Okay, so you're stealth, and you can begin making your approach. Next turn, you'll be able to make your attack. Who else wants to go?
In the process of a turn, is just to clarify, is talking to someone and getting an answer a full act?
Given the immediacy of combat, yes. Someone may well be filleted by a pit lord before you have a chance to get your answer. So, yes. While you're deliberating there, the druid of your group begins trying to cast healing magic upon the victim being burned. The magic is helpful, although the burns seem to be nearly permanent, but he is able to recover a number of your hit points here.
Oh, jeez. Well, it's not like another 18 point freaking hit. It ain't gonna matter, but yay. How many did I get?
Oh.
Let me see notes.
4.
How big is this room?
This room was originally a Senate hall where the Senate for the Empire of Ardus would gather to debate before they became an autocracy. It is fairly big, and that's important because this pit lord is huge. He is 30 feet tall, and yet there's still some headspace above him. There are rafters above where strange, spiky creatures with blue skin are sort of coiled and observing. Only a couple of them, though.
Is there seemingly distance between? Is there a reasonable amount of space between him and some open area where there aren't people? Like, is there something seemingly out of his immediate reach?
Yeah, so there are a few pillars. Also, at the edges of the room, there's a few portals, but those portals are guarded by people. In terms of open space, the largest open space is actually behind him, where there is a portal leading to an endless plane of ash and fire, where balls of flame fall like meteors from the sky as a freaking weather condition.
Yeah, that doesn't sound great. Right. How does my quiver work as a independent thing? Can I, since I'm near him, can I pull from it?
Yeah.
And then, so just to formulate out, can I use, can I basically pull from the quiver use reposition as my movement and then fire? Is that too much in an action? Considering
The point of your quiver is
the
that
exchange should be quick.
the point of your quiver is that it doesn't require an action for you to
Yeah.
do it, so that's its entire bonus. So if you want
Yeah.
to, if you're going to use reposition and do something cool, then yeah, your quiver is the entire purpose behind your quiver is to not need to take actions to use it.
Okay, I just want to make sure because it's not directly attached to my person, but the person is right here, so it's still within like an immediate.
No, I mean that's your quiver carrier. That's his job.
Okay, so I'm gonna. My plan is to slide an arrow in and switch it over to. I didn't decide if these are bomb or fire arrows. Both. They're bows with a small charge, arrowheads with a small charge. Enough to disorient probably and cause some fire damage. So I want to exchange the arrowheads for one of those and then reposition to a like reasonable distance from the pit lord. And then I had I don't want to use perception at this point. I don't have this information. So I'm just gonna shoot him in the back of the head. That's
Okay.
I can't do much else without conversation, and I'm not gonna do that. Okay, so two character sheets is hard.
Yeah.
What do I do for so I did if I do the quiver, how do I apply that based on is it like additional pips? I have the pips from the bow already.
Right. So let's see.
How would that work as far as I can't remember what we did for the net. I already forgot.
So the advantage of the quiver is it lets you get to your specialty arrows instantly without having to put away or re-equip. The bow itself gives you pips.
Okay,
And,
so
yeah.
essentially they'll just do an effect based on the amount of dice roll, kind of from the attack.
Which in this case would be they're narrative effects, but in this case, like you said, explosive disorientation. Very nice.
Okay, nine successes of explosive disorientation.
So he taxes his resist and completely nullifies it.
That's fantastic. I'd like to think I made a dent and resist though.
A pretty big dent, although it was fiery, and he seems to be the sort of thing that is currently being unaffected by fire. You don't even see like a charred mark on him. The flames wash over him as though he was born bathed in fire.
Yeah, seeing just that literally everything has shit the pan or shit the bed, and there's people flying through the air and burning whips, and my alchemist is not particularly the brave sort, so he's going to make it toward the closest portal. You said, I guess there's like a guard there that looks nervous or whatever.
One of the 4 guards there looks very nervous, yes. And not nervous about the Pit Lord. He's nervous about something that's in the portal.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm gonna fucking make it through that portal, be like, alright, I got away from that Pit Lord, and there's a Vrask. Like, on the other side, like, yeah! No, I'm just gonna throw a friggin' potion at those guys guarding that particular portal. Because you said it's close, right?
Yep.
And, like, I'm gonna throw it, I'm just gonna flashbang! I have no idea what it does. I'm just gonna yell that. I'm trying to affect all 4 of them so that even if it doesn't work, maybe they'll think it's a flashbang and like, whoa, what the hell? And I can make it through the damn portal. Do I have to roll, or are you just choosing a random?
No, I'm using the random number generator on Google.
Yay. This would be one of those moments that you need like one of those catastrophic events to kick off.
It makes them super strong.
No, but if they had been injured, it would have healed them.
Oh, Lord. I don't suppose the surprise tactic somehow made me a hole or something.
It has made the floor sticky underneath their feet.
Yay!
And it smells faintly of Mountain Dew Code Red.
Oh, jeez.
Belial will follow beside the alchemist as he peers beyond the soldiers, and he will because can we see what's inside the smaller portals or like the big portal, or is it?
As you get closer, you see like little flickers of light, and you hear kind of like a clinking noise. It almost seems like there's some kind of like a curtain, a dark curtain on the other side of it, made out of some metallic material.
That's where I'm going.
Can I, from my current spot, like without getting too close to the guards, can I use investigation cunning to from the noises and the cues I can see from it to figure out what kind of plane it's attached to?
Sure.
Just a Pit Lord, like, Wah! Oh, I wonder if I can investigate for a moment and see through the portal. I think I've got my answer.
Why didn't say shit.
You're pretty certain that it is Jangling Hitter, which is a city in the 3rd layer of Beator.
So it's a city in where? In Hell?
Yes, in the 3rd layer of Hell.
What is the 3rd layer? It's which then is represented on the 3rd layer?
The 3rd layer is primarily represented by acid rain and hail, and the general sense of helplessness. But there are 2 cities where that is not necessarily the case, and one of them is Jangling Hitter, which is somewhat shielded from the acid by its cityness.
I was turned to the alchemist you don't want to go in there. Let's try one of the other ones.
Oh, that's where I'm headed.
The other druid, the helpless one, the scholar, seems to just have vanished. You do know she had a cloak that was good at making her vanish. She probably used it.
Now would be the time.
All right. So the Beatazu is going to now yank down and pull the his captive towards him and towards his horns.
That's what I thought might happen.
And unless you can deal with 19 successes, he impales you upon the horns and then tears you in half.
That's like, is it even? How the hell does this guy have 18,000 dice? Jeez.
20 dice, yes. This is a pit lord. This is the highest category of demon in the Beatazu hierarchy.
They don't do that well against gnomes. Just saying.
Fortunately, you guys brought a crack team of the most powerful heroes that the King's Guard had available. Well, yeah, -1 now, I think.
I mean, as like an option, because like I mean, I might just be screwed anyway. But I mean, can I try to take an action instead of trying to?
Yep.
Negate any of the damage.
Absolutely.
I'm just gonna as like a death throw because I mean I figure I'm pretty screwed regardless. And so he's dragging me on the ground, so I mean that's good. I'm where I want to be. I'm just gonna try to like level the floor as much as I can. Just dig the biggest hole or pit or bring this whole place down, whatever I can manage.
Okay, cool. Go for it. I love this plan. The whole building is made of stone. Go nuts.
With I'm supposed to be rolling
your potential.
It's just the potential, right? No.
And with the pips from your necklace.
Yeah, but no cunning or any of that.
No, yeah,
stuff.
Nothing else. Okay. This is raw magic.
Yeah. Well, this is the best I could do considering I've got 5 dice, but yay.
Oh yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, what are you trying to dig? Just directly under him, or did you want to take out some of the pillars that are supporting the ceiling? What you going for?
I'm trying to think.
There is a very sneaky undead sneaking up on this guy's flank. So, yeah, getting him into a position for that backstab might be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do that. I'll dig as much under him as I can. I mean, because people might still be trying to make it to portals, and could be end up dead if I took out all the pillars right now.
All right, you drop him down right before one of the horns on his head goes directly through your spine.
Yay, I'm dead.
He frees his whip by severing your body in half, and but he has been dropped down to a point where his left hand, currently holding the magical orb of blood and fire that's keeping the portals open, is directly in line for Jacques.
And I shall take the bon chance to come out a surprise, and he will he will jump up as he sort of as as he's holding it. He will go for the wrist, so he can try to kick the stupid ball out of the man's hand, because that looks like a pretty good thing to steal as being a pirate.
Let's be very, very specific. Are you attempting to hit the ball, or are you attempting to hit the wrist of the demon holding the ball?
I'm hitting the wrist so that he will drop it.
Just hit the ball. I don't know if this guy's wrist would be affected by anything, but all right.
Well, I don't
Probably
know what
not.
this ball. I don't know. I don't want to kick a magical ball that might potentially. It is radiating energy.
He's gonna have like.
Yeah, you're going for the wrist.
70.
Make your roll.
Gonna
Do you
have
get any bonuses for being hidden? Would you like to roll your stealth for your attack instead of melee?
Sure. I'll use my stealth.
If you use your stealth, then he will not be able to use his avoid or notice to counter it. And believe it or not, he has used a lot of his resist.
Let's see here. So stealth plus my vigor. I'm going to as the same time, I'm going to spend one of my. I'm going to spend a vigor to make to use the thing might. So I'll get 5 successes and automatically equal because it's a vigor test with mine. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just have to roll 5 more dice plus 6 pips. So 10 successes altogether.
Okay. He's going to take those 10 successes to his composure, as he is shaken by this sneak attack, which is disrupting his spell. You see the energies from the orb sort of flicker as his hand flexes, and they disrupt some of the portals briefly. A strange, howling, screeching noise starts coming out of the portal to Jangling Hitter. You see him lift up and place the orb between his 2 horns, where it just floats between them, and he flexes his hand, and a fiery sword comes out of his left hand, so he's now dual-wielding. And he turns to face the portal. The portal to Jangling Hitter. He seems to be bracing for something.
Oh, Jesus. It's got him worried.
Let's see now. Who is being attacked?
If it isn't readily apparent, I'm making an effort to get the hell out of the way.
Yes. I assume that those who are experts in this. Jacques. The portal to Jangling Hitter suddenly bursts much, much wider than it was. It was big enough for basic humanoids to go through, and suddenly it rips open to a terrifying size. Within it, you see just a colossal collection of hanging chains dripping back and forth, and the chains part to reveal a spider made entirely of iron with delicate gold filigree. This spider is about as large as the Pit Lord, and it comes charging out, attempting to strike at the Pit Lord, and in so doing so, stepping on Jacques. For 9 damage. You have 9 incoming for Jacques to deal with.
Or a bad?
What's up?
Oh, I'm just saying, I don't know if this is a good turn of events or bad.
The spider itself seems to be somewhat mechanical in nature, but bits of it seem also slightly organic, just happening to be made of metal. Most interestingly, for those of you who backed away from it, you get to see from behind that its web spinner is in fact making chains, not webs. Much of the gold filigree that's been carved into the iron are of runes similar to the ones being enchanted onto the soldiers. The soldiers who were near that portal have just been scattered, tossed aside. Bits of them are wedged into the stone around the auditorium.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, I'm spending 4 in resist and then 5 in health.
Okay.
Just to get a grasp on the concept of portals, because I haven't had to deal with it before. Is this like something you see at its like one direction? It's in an arc, or it's just floating in midair, and whenever I look at it, I see through it. Like, what is a portal?
So these portals have sort of like a there's an archway, and it looks like the archway might be almost physical. It's like a made of glass. Within the glass, you're seeing into another place. If you walk around behind it, though, that other place isn't behind it.
Okay, so if you're behind a portal, you just see like nothing, or you see a wall.
You see another perspective of looking through the portal, but yeah, what is behind the portal is not what is through the portal.
Oh, so if you're looking from the back of the portal, you see, you see more stuff.
Yes.
Like for me, I jumped past the portals, and now I'm looking back, so I see different things than I saw before.
You see a different collection of chains dangling. Yes.
Got it. I just wanted to visually understand this because I have no idea what's happening.
And it varies. There are weird portals that do weird things.
I just wasn't sure if it was like a Turok portal or something, and as you walked, it stayed 2D and followed you.
I don't think this scene and this battle is quite chaotic enough. So I really do dislike the Pit Lord that just killed one of my comrades. So he's going to get a good old potion in the face to try to make his battle with that spider harder.
I knew there was a reason I didn't close that tab with the random number generator. What do you intend the potion to be?
Anything disruptive. Blinding, deafening, just whatever. Makes it harder for him to defend against that thing.
Okay, that's a neat one. The potion flies over, it crashes, and it appears that it was just glass, that there was nothing actually in the potion, until you see that the liquid all kind of spilled out in the air as it was flying and comes rushing back into you. For the next minute, you may teleport up to 20 feet as a bonus action.
Oh, well, it's a good thing he didn't get that.
It says the caster, so yeah.
Well,
You don't transfer ownership of the caster when it hits someone else. Give the pit lord teleporting power.
yeah, I would say.
While not everyone again are all the guards now distracted by the giant spider in the room? Are you sure?
The guards are showing remarkable discipline and sticking to their posts, but the guards that were around the jangling hitter portal have been scattered and killed.
Okay, I'm just gonna the count is just gonna skirt around the room and head over to where the next portal is to determine if we can find which ones are the actual safe ones.
In the next portal, you see a landscape of icebergs floating on a black water. The water is like tar, but the icebergs are like just frozen blue-white ice.
I don't even need to understand what that place is, and I already can tell that's a bad place. Yeah.
I think you had a character go there once, actually.
Yeah, I feel like we pissed off some kind of angry some fishermen there.
Given this is a giant room full of demons, I can imagine that there are no good options in these ports.
I'll be right back also.
Well, I guess it's more to find out what is the best or the less worst possible option.
Well, I mean, there's one non-guarded place.
I mean, one of the places looks like beautiful green grassy fields with flowers. From a distance.
Oh yeah, that's an Avernus, isn't it? Yeah, I'm gonna head on. I'm gonna whenever I get a chance, I'm gonna reposition it into the portal.
Okay, that can be your action. And so you go through it into the Jangling Hitter workshop.
Right, and for flavor, whenever I use reposition, I'm gonna go into like a semi-transparent steam, and then appear at the other place. Mechanically, it's the same thing.
So you guys see your steam companion, or your scholar companion turn to steam and just sort of float through. On the inside, you see it looks like a bunch of dead. They're what are they called? They're chain demons, but they've been killed. Looked apparently by the spider, and but hiding amongst the chains is the scholar with her cloak of concealment. She managed to get through.
I take it. Loken's been watching, and he was standing near the Steam dude. That's the last place he was. So he'll essentially just be running for that location.
Okay. The Beatazu is taking back its sword and looks like it's going to take a hit on the spider. The spider, on the other hand, is thrashing about somewhat randomly, and the chains start coming out of its abdomen. These chains are red hot and semi-molten as they've just been formed by its own internal biology.
Jeebus.
They strike out in what is kind of an area attack, sweeping across both Jacques and Feist. So both of you have 14 damage worth of molten chains trying to be wrapped around you by a spider. And I will warn you that if you take damage in this respect to your actual hit points, you will be trapped in the chains. They'll actually wrap around you and not just smack you with their moltenness.
Is reposition purely for movement, or can I use it to avoid these scenarios?
I'm going to say you could use that to avoid it. What do you have to tax to use reposition?
You're not gonna let me if I tell you. It's just one acrobatics. But the description on it is reposition yourself to another location instantly without fear of injury, obstacle, or attacks of opportunity.
Yeah, so that's fair. Tax away.
Okay, so I'll do that and then position myself to hopefully outside of the direction of chains. And since if they weren't going anywhere near Loken, then basically regrouping with him and running toward the port.
Right on. And so, Jacques, how are you dealing with the 14 successes of molten sticky chains coming at you?
I'm trying to figure that part out.
Do you have anything to avoid damage on?
No, I do not. I've never really taken talents that do that. I'm trying to figure what I could burn. If there's something that story-wise would be able to burn to save it.
As an undead, you probably don't like fire all that much.
Yeah, indeed. Because what are things I can tax besides my health?
Resist, avoid, notice. You can start taxing skills if you can justify it. If you have a narration that justifies that your athletics will be damaged by what you're doing because you're disconnecting your legs for some reason so that your torso is safe. I don't know. Well, whatever you think you can come up with.
Does somewhat depend on whether it's a condition or a consequence, but
Yeah, I was gonna double check if they're condition, if it's a condition or consequence.
This is an area attack, not a
that's a
single attack.
consequence.
Yeah.
Well, what do we all have to avoid this?
Only 2 people did, and one of them succeeded in avoiding it completely. The other one is trying to figure out how he wants to do it.
So I have a quality 6 sword here. See if I can so basically he's gonna I'm gonna be taking a lot of damage to my athletics and damage to my sword as I as a last sort of thing, and sort of bend backwards to a point where it probably breaks someone, and sort of use my sword as a way to like lift off of the chains. But in the due process, it's going to melt my sword and leave me feeling like an old man. If that is good with you.
So you're sacrificing your sword, and yeah. Did at any point did you actually take damage to your health in this one?
No, I used the void notice. I drained that. I drained my my athletics to 0 and my sword to 0 to stop myself from taking health damage.
All right. So you've successfully gotten out without getting wrapped up in chains. All right, at this point in time, it's a good idea for me to take note of who is through the portal. I know that Tala Sabil and the Scholar are. Is Loken through the portal?
I can ask you that question.
Sure, if he's been hauling ass to it this whole time.
He was running to it. If you want to say someone makes an attempt to grab him, I have something for that. But I'm assuming that it was pretty much cleared away based on that, because this is basically the back path of that spider.
Pretty much. Where's the alchemist? Are you through the portal? Bearing in mind that you can teleport at will currently.
Yeah, but I say, I mean, yeah, if that seems to be where everybody else is going, and that's not where the spider demon lord fight is. That
Excellent. And Belial, is Belial through the portal, or is Belial still looking at other portals?
After he starts seeing people go around, like they're just hopping in there, he's gonna go through the portal as well.
All right. So all of the squires are through the portal, and with a great roar, the Beatazu puts its fiery sword through the spider. This does not appear to kill the spider; it just calms it, and opens it enough to see that it inside appears to be a siege engine, complete with seating for it looks like about a dozen people. Panels for those people to drop out and deploy as a military unit. It's a fairly impressive thing. It also does appear to be alive. Although almost cut in half, it has not been killed by that. The Beatazu then reaches up and closes the portal. The final fates of First Officer Jacques and Feist will perhaps be learned someday. But for now, the rest of you are through the portal into Jangling Hitter, and the portal has sealed behind you.
What about the fate of the Earth Mover guy?
Oh, he's dead. And that may be a strong hint as to the ultimate fates of the other two.
Do I have an opportunity before the portal closes? Because I was like nearby.
To do what now?
Like is the portal gonna close instantaneously, or is there like a somewhat gradual point?
Yeah, so the portal, it's not like he's like exerting effort to close it. He's just stopping exerting effort to keep it open.
Okay, but like, is there enough time to throw an object through?
Maybe. Let's make a roll. Make a throwing plus athletics check. See if you can throw fast enough.
Or throw feist enough?
What are you throwing through anyway?
I'm attempting to throw the bow and say something.
Okay.
But what am I?
You know what? That's going to be really cinematic, so I'm going to allow it. I love beautiful cinematic moments.
It's the plan is to give him just enough information. I don't know if I want to like you can make the decision here. I just want to throw the bow, and I'm trying to give him the code. You can decide how much code he gets, because he can't use it without it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So she's trying to give him the code.
I'm going to rule that you get the bow, and you get like a fragment of the code, but not enough to use yet.
So he knows like the starting sequence.
He knows the starting sequence and can work on trying to unlock the rest of the bow. That's awesome.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay, so he has like a partial coded bow.
And so, having given up her bow, you pretty much see that she's going to die. A fiery whip is closing around her belly, and she's being pulled back as the bow goes through.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you see Jacques basically like under the foot of the Beatazu as it's raising up its fiery sword. There's pretty much no reason for you guys to believe that those two characters have survived.
Is Jacques like holding up the hilt and still fighting? Is that the?
There's no sword left on his hilt. Yeah, and Feist no longer has her bow. They're unarmed and at the mercy of a pit lord that just tore an earth mage in half and slew a 30-foot tall spider that was also a siege weapon.
But the better question is, was it still unoperable? Was it operable still?
Arachnoropable?
Because it looks like a ship that can crawl on walls.
Yeah, that is what it looks like. A ship that can crawl on walls or over walls, that manufactures its own chains with which to bind and attack its enemies, and carries a complement of marine equivalent soldiers that can be deployed out of the base of the abdomen. And it doesn't need a pilot because it is alive.
But it can be piloted if need be.
It trained like a pet, kind of. You're currently in the workshop that built it. The workers who originally made it are lying dead on the floor. The floor itself is a net of chain, as are the walls and ceiling. The chain is quite thickly made here. Light is not shining through it. All of the light are on torches that are hanging from chains. Every step you make just fills the room with the sound of jingling chains. Even the people that are on the ground are wearing chains as clothing.
I take a deep breath and go, oh, thank goodness for that. And dust myself off.
Well, out of all of the places I'd want to go for a visit, this is probably not in my top 10, but at least better than some of the other probably places that we could have gone to.
Well, we're back in civilization in any case.
Yeah, at least we don't have to worry about the rain in the city.
Yeah, you must be pretty deep in the city as you guys don't hear the sound of rain at all. It has never actually been established what the city itself is hanging from, as no one's managed to get to the top of it yet. But the city does span from the bottom, which is a known place that people visit, and it climbs just up and up and up, as from hanging chains that are hanging from other chains that are hanging from other chains. Here in the heart of the city, it's quite dark, and but not at all quiet, as the chains make their jangling noise, from which the city gets its name. There are exits from this room, some more obvious than others. There are sort of partings in the chain in a couple places, but also you can just try and push through the chains wherever you wish. This is very obviously a workshop, which, Ed, to you is a good sign, because you're looking for a door and you're a center of creativity.
Cool. I'm going to look around and see if I can find any, like, chitons that have that are willing to talk. Maybe a trader, chain trader, or merchant or something. Now, we must be near some sort of center of...
Yeah. So you step out of the workshop. There's some other chitons out in sort of a walkway outside, and some other workshops nearby. The chitons are immediately concerned that some of their brethren have been killed by one of their own creations. None of them particularly blame you yet, as they know that these guys were working with Beatazu, which they all consider to be a very dangerous occupation. But they're there. For those of you who don't know what a chiton is, they wear chains completely around themselves, exposing only their eyes, nose, and mouth. And their eyes, nose, and mouth look to you just like a fallen loved one, somebody who you loved who has died. They look different to all of you, so all of you are seeing a different loved one, but it looks like your loved one is bound in chains, and that is the chitin that is speaking to you. Given that you just recently saw a person who is freshly killed, who you had a lot of respect for, right now all the chitins look kind of like Feist. Like if Feist was just completely wrapped in chains except for her eyes, nose, and mouth.
How does the alchemist look? Because he went through a portal.
Oh yeah, we got a roll for you.
I know I'm not doing so great. I probably look like I'm gonna vomit and a bunch of other things. Probably freaking out pretty hardcore right now.
What's the highest number on your random table there, Max?
18.
Alright, we rolled a 14.
I don't know what a pandemonium howler is.
It is a type of tiefling that is attuned to the plane of pandemonium. So you look like a human, but who's seen some shit. Dark circles under your eyes, hair is crazy, and there's just this sort of faint shout always in the back of your throat about to happen. You yourself continuously hear a screaming in the distance.
Spectacular. Oh, also, I summon a puppy.
Well, this is as I say. I turn and look at the assembled people who are currently like sweating and vomiting, and I say, "Welcome to the multiverse." It takes a bit of getting used to. When I've left my home for the great outer planes, I also was very confused about how things worked, but you'll get the hang of it soon enough. I assure you, your culture shock to the outer planes is nothing like mine.
I look at him in my like newly haggard form, and I'm like, I don't know. Seems to be taking out way more out of me than you. But yeah, I've been here before.
I've gotten used to it, I say.
Yeah,
You
it's-
come from a place where there are thinking things and there are non-thinking things. You know, stuff is made of stuff that isn't really stuff. It's all very confusing.
yeah. This is this is not the worst place you could have first visited.
Correct. It's one of the worst places you could have possibly first visited, but it's not the worst place. We're going to Sigil, and we're going to a relatively nice part in Sigil. There are bad parts in Sigil, which are far worse than this, but the place that we're going is going to be relatively nice. I hope. I'm just looking for another portal. If you could help me find it, that would be excellent.
The chitin that you're querying, the sort of merchant, this is I mean, there's a lot of portals, but they're not really stable. The chains are not good for that sort of thing. Was there something specific you were looking for?
There's a house in the ladies' ward. I am attempting to get into its vault.
She says, yeah, I don't know of any portal that goes to something like that.
I was told it was around a center of creativity and commerce.
Do you want to make a any kind of social check? Either a connections check or how do you want to go about learning the location of this portal?
Good question.
I take it Loken is a little shaken. The situation is claustrophobic, but to say that you're on loose footing is an understatement. You're literally standing on a mesh of chains.
That's awesome. Do I see a like a doorway or anything
Several.
that leads to like light?
Yeah, there's some more light out here now that you've left the workshop. And there's several other workshops kind of along a hall. Lights are there. There's also several sort of ladders made of chains that go up and down. This seems to be a very vertical place. There's lots more above you and below you than there is to any side. It somehow manages to be both claustrophobic and invoke a fear of falling at the same time. And it's dark.
Are the chains move under your feet? Or
Yes.
are they like
They creak and sway and make chinkling noises, jangling all the way.
I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna go ahead and do a let's just do a I'll just do a straightforward just empathy persuasion, which is just
Okay.
empathy. And I got one.
I love how you say plus persuasion. That's great.
And I'm just gonna say yeah, I was told that that's where it was. Just looking for it, trying to get out of your hair. I hear you guys are excellent chain makers. Chains are extremely valuable, and I do have some contacts in the harmonium, if you get my drift. Could always put in a good word.
The
They
runner says,
do love their chains.
"Of course you've heard that we're the greatest chain makers in the universe. That's not a surprise at all. If you want to see the centers of our chain making, however, you are in the right spot. Here are our many workshops, and if you climb 2 layers up, you'll see the more artistic of our endeavors. If you climb 2 layers or 2 lengths down, you'll see some of the more military applications that the Harmonium may be interested in.
I think I'll probably check out the more artistic ones first. I've seen a sufficient amount of military application to. And then I turn back and say, "Come, lemons, we're going to go see some more chain."
It turns out only 2 of the people with you are lemons. It looks like the other 2 are wearing faction logos.
Oh, okay. So Tice's character is faction.
Yes, he's for the was it not Sign of One, the other one, the
Source.
Believers of the Source.
Yeah.
And Max's character, not the Alchemist, is proudly bearing the crazy, insane, nonsensical, twisted logo of the Chaostex.
Excellent.
Also, he appears to be a different species than the last time you saw him.
Good.
While still wearing the same clothes, he has now become a tiefling.
We have a chaos tech in the party. Excellent. I take the primes aside and I say, "Don't listen to that one."
Hey.
When he says primes or lemons, he's referring to you, Troy.
Yeah.
I probably I would just I don't even know what's going on. I'm trying not to fall.
After climbing up to what you would kind of consider to be like 2 stories or 2 flights up a chain ladder that's swaying the whole time, you find yourself unsteadily standing on a floor of a pretty nice big workshop where lots and lots of chitons, wrapped in their own chains, all still wearing the faces of loved ones you've left behind or lost. are working at tiny little workbenches where chains have been solidified together into tables. And upon these tables, they are working very, very intricate chain designs, making clothing, tools, and just plain old works of art out of immeasurably tiny silver, gold, and platinum chains.
Beautiful, I say. I'm going to try and find a little space to work, and I'm going to pull out my abacus and start sniffing around for portals.
Your abacus
So-
indicates that one of the supply closets is not what it seems, but you do not see the rim of a normal portal around it. It is somehow a spatial anomaly without having a portal, a glowing portal rim.
And my contact told me that this will take me to
To the infinite staircase.
to the infinite staircase. Yeah, okay, fair enough. I say, all right. Well, this is a center of creativity, I suppose. All right, I think I found our exit. We're going to a complicated place.
What complicated place?
It's better than here. Let's go there. And I step into the supply closet.
All
And
right.
I poke my head back out and I say, all the crudes come this way. I'm going to try and get you sorted out. We'll get your papers and everything handled once we get to... There's
As
an
are the
official
rules.
voucher for people who've lost their planets. It happens all the time. Silly things, planets.
As are the rules of doors, the first time you open it, it's a supply closet, and then you close it, focus your mind a moment, and open it again. And there is a staircase climbing into nothing.
I begin to step in, then I turn back and I say, think of something creative, and follow me into the...
Fortunately, as he's holding the door open, the staircase does not disappear and become a supply closet again, and one by one, each of you steps out into what can only be described as a silver staircase over an endless night. The sky is full of stars, and all that exists is the staircase. You think, perhaps, far, far below, miles below you, there might be a world. There's a blotch that's not completely covered with stars below you. But here you stand, stars to the left, stars to the right, and directly overhead a full moon, shining bright and lighting the staircase with a glorious silver glow. The staircase itself is intricately carved, patterns and filigree throughout it. It's fairly wide. You're not really at risk of falling off, but there are no guardrails. And should you jump off, you've got a long way to fall. The staircase does not go straight, but in fact twists and turns, has landings, and quickly comes to a divide. There is the path you just went down, and then you can go up or down from here. So you can go back to the door to Jangling Header, or you can go up or down.
Cool. What race am I?
I'm going to love doing this every time. Number 16.
You know one that keeps leading us to 16? Earth Ganassi.
There you go.
Is the squirrel still with us? I guess it's not.
No, it is not.
Well,
We
that's
lost a squirrel a long time ago. I
The
think.
squirrel has not been with you for some time, actually. The squirrel hasn't been with you since before you got in a cage.
yeah.
The alchemist seems to be missing, but there's an Earth Ganassi wearing his clothes.
So this is the infinite staircase. It is a staircase, and it's infinite. That's all you really need to know. Also, very, very cool place. Lots of creative types like the staircase. Goes all over the... we're going to find the gate back to Sigil. I'm assuming I have some kind of a map, or at least directions.
You're fairly certain that it's somewhere up above. You're just not 100% sure. Navigating the staircase can be fairly reliable. It's one of the few places that are, but yeah, you're trying. The point of this is you're trying to find a route that no one else knows about yet.
Gotcha.
As you were hired to determine if his home is secure, and you believe because he is a great artist that there may be a vulnerability here.
Gotcha. Well, my suggestion, we've been traveling quite a while. Some of the lemons have lost their planet, which I understand can be relatively shocking. So maybe we should travel up, find a landing, and make camp for.
Traveling up is exhausting, and everyone should take a point of tax to probably your athletics. If you do not have athletics, you can take 5 tax to your endurance. And then you come to a landing, which is a good place to rest. The landing does not itself have amenities, although there are some small pillars that have eyes carved into them. But it's a decent enough place to set up a sort of makeshift camp. I do not believe any of you brought bedrolls with you, or tents, or supplies to make fire.
I have my workshop.
Controlled fire.
I
Bomb arrows.
I pull out a small tin cup. I put tea leaves in it, and then I fill it with water from nowhere, and then I stick my finger in it and boil me some tea. And I offer it to the prime. Tea, I say, and I take my finger out of the cup.
In addition to Troy's character, there's one other prime with you, a scholar who is now sitting next to a pillar and writing furiously on a sheet of paper she has.
All right. Well, she seems relatively busy, so I will offer her tea later. Alas, I have but the one cup.
Troy, do you drink the tea?
I don't even know what to do. I'll accept the tea and I'll smell it. What do I smell?
It smells roughly like tea. You have a hint. There's a hint of chamomile.
It's not gonna be the weirdest thing I've done today. I'll drink it as a attempt to calm my nerves.
And like I'll take a potion out and offer it to him. It's like, here you
I don't think I want to take that. I've seen what those do.
go. Yes, and then I teleport like 20 feet. They're amazing.
And yes, it does take a little while to get used to this, but don't worry about it. This is not the craziest stuff you'll see.
I offer the potion to others in the party if they would like it. Anybody? Anybody?
I look at you distrustfully.
It's too bad your order doesn't make it to where like you have to take something if you're offered. That'd be awesome.
The scholar Mira closes her book, comes over, and sits down kind of with the rest of you and says, I've reported our failure and the deaths of our friends. It seems wherever we are, it has not stopped the magic of our books. And so I can...
Say, powerful magics. It's more than just finger paints right there.
Indeed. She says, we crafted these with which to learn, and by the powers of nature and nature's gods, we're able to communicate. Anything I write in my book appears upon the books in our sanctuary, and anything they write upon theirs appears here on this sheet of paper they gave me. At the moment, they are too confused by the information I've been giving them to give us any kind of coherent instruction. But they're formulating a defense, and who knows, maybe there's something we can do from here to help them. I'm just at a loss right now. She
Okay,
kind
well,
of,
many of nature's gods live here, so I mean, you could ask them directly.
perhaps I shall, she says as she leans back and stares upward at the moon.
I kind of pat her on the back and tell her, as hopefully there is something we can do, but in the meantime, you've been through a lot. Why don't you have some tea? Offer the potion.
God damn it. Do you even know what the potions do?
No.
He knows exactly what they do.
Yeah, I know just as much as you know about them.
You are taxing it every time you use a potion, right?
I kind of wanted that. I mean, I literally have a workshop that I can just continuously make them in. And it's not like there's any extreme construction involved. It's just whatever the fuck ends up in them.
Yeah, but you do have to take time to build them. So, anyway, after drinking it, her fists become gigantic, which is going to she's now really concerned. She's like, this will wear off, right? Because she's not going to be able to write with her fists being that large. Although she'd be quite good at punching you.
Most probably, yes. Maybe.
Well, if it doesn't wear off, you at least know what to use them for.
They usually wear off.
Having learned her lesson about accepting potions from you, she now goes and gets some rest. Amenities here are extremely poor, but all of you can rest if you wish. While resting, you may convert any taxes you have into endurance tax. You may also recover one tax. If you had beds or proper bedrolls, you would be able to recover a bit more. But at the moment, your amenities are sleeping on what is basically a slab of marble.
At least it's not cold outside or chained.
Yeah, and there's no acid rain. Like literal, like not just rain with high acid content, but literal, like sulfuric acid.
Literal acid rain.
What's the number you want to put on like the potions before I have to like start saying that I craft more?
You have a quality on your thing.
Where?
Yeah, your actual workshop has a quality.
Which is most likely 6.
Yeah.
Max, if you wish to skip sleeping, you may work in your workshop to recover a quality.
It just recovers like 1 quality.
Well, the conditions here are really shitty, but under better conditions, you could recover a lot more. For example, if you had access to a marketplace with which to restock raw materials. Currently, though, you are on a slab of marble floating in space with stairs made of silver leading off in random directions in an infinite starry sky where it's always midnight and always a full moon.
Yeah, I'll just rest and take the 1 tack off of my thing.
All right. After resting for a few hours, you guys feel like you're ready to take a trek on some stairs. Ed, you played with your abacus for a bit, and you're pretty sure you know which way to go.
Okay. Well, I make sure everybody else gets up, have some tea, and then I begin moving in the direction towards Sigil, or towards where I think I'm supposed to go. And I'm open to, and I offer myself to answer questions, or if any of the primes, I say, have any questions or whatever, I'm happy to answer. I too went through this sort of shock before. It's like I'm sure our other native planer here might be able to answer some questions, pointing at Tice, and I completely ignore Max.
Yes. Like
One of the eye on one of the pillars blinks. Go ahead. What are you saying?
Since we will be going to Sigil, there is one thing I should warn you about. If we're walking along a path and you encounter a lady covered in blades, do not approach her and try to stay as far away from her as you can.
Wise words, says a slithery voice from behind you. One of the eyes that is carved into a pillar seems to be separating itself, moving forward, and what is essentially a naga comes into view. But if you've ever seen a naga before, this is not quite the same. It's more slender and has feathers. If you've never seen a naga before, then what you're looking at is something where below the waist is snake. It has a long tail that is coiled beneath it to hold itself up, but its upper body has a pair of arms, although covered with scales and a little bit of feathers. But it has a face that is hidden by a mask that is just a plain silver slab with a single eye carved in the middle. You can't see what's behind the mask. It says, I've observed you and seen that the primes you harbor are calm and of quiet demeanor. I am here to tell you that if you travel down this path, and he points in a path that is not the one you intended to travel, says, there is an encampment of the Explorers Guild. They would be happy to welcome the primes.
Excellent, I say. Thank you, lady.
You are welcome. I must resume my watch. And she slithers back to the pillar and vanishes.
I kind of roll my eyes and I'm like, if you want to be with the Explorers Guild.
Does anyone sing?
Singing would be performance.
No.
I do not, unless if you count the sounds of accountancy as music to your ears.
I perhaps have a potion that could help you with singing.
I'm terrible at singing, so I make an attempt at offering a song to the Lend for her assistance. It's not the best song. It's not even a good song, but it's the best I can do.
For a moment, the eyes on the pillar seem to be closed in a grimace.
Very good. We take our leave.
Traversing up the stairs, again, becomes an exercise in exertion. but you had a good rest and you kind of know what you're in for now. So anyone who wishes to make a vigor plus athletics check, you can avoid the necessary athletics tax. You only need 3 successes to avoid having to pay the tax.
What was the check?
Vigor plus athletics. Otherwise, you'll have a tax of basically hurt. Ooh, Max kills it.
Obliterated that.
All right.
I'm fundamentally exhausted.
It might just hurt your health. You might just be weakened by it, injured by it.
I got nothing.
Continuous upstairs movement is, like after an hour, it's rough.
Wheezing, I just say, when we get to this camp, we're gonna rest.
Oh, the camp is in a different direction than Sigil.
Oh, we were heading towards the camp.
You're heading towards the camp? Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to imagine that like I'm going up the stairs and I'm just kind of chaotically like jumping around and like moving up them and stuff. And he's doing them in like a real orderly pace. And I'm saying like, I point at him like, see, look, that's what happens when you keep to order right there.
So what are we taxing you with? Are we taking 3?
No, not 3. You're just taking 1. But if you made the 3, you wouldn't have to take it. So you're just taking 1 damage from exertion on the stairs.
I'm making an effort to record everything that every one of Max's potions does, and every time that we go through a portal and he changes what he changes into, and I'm attempting to
find a pattern.
I'm attempting to find a statistical pattern.
Good luck.
Yep. It's as if you're rolling on some sort of a table.
After an extreme amount of exhaustion, it suddenly turns into a downstairs procession, which is much, much easier. And after going for a fair ways downstairs, you come upon a very large landing that has several tents set up. And by several, I mean like a small army. And you smell like cooking food. There's cooking pots out in the open, and people of every species imaginable are meandering about. For those of you from Sigil, this looks like a very, very small encampment. To everyone else, it's about what you'd expect a military-sized encampment to be. You're greeted and welcomed into the camp, and asked where you've been traveling and if you have maps for trade. The Guild of Explorers is not an officially recognized faction in Sigil, and so often its members are considered not welcome in Sigil. But they themselves are quite welcoming to anyone that travels the plains.
I say I have no maps in trade, but I can describe a prime world that I recently visited, and I actually have some primes with me, which could give you even more information about the lay of the land.
They offer in trade for your stories a fine meal and comfortable beds to rest in.
I accept their trade. For my part, but it's up to the primes what they want to do. I imagine we're all exhausted though, so a meal and a bed for a story seems like a pretty decent trade.
I'm not. I'm going to use the meal and time to recoup some potions.
Okay. So in order to get your meal and your quality 6 rest, which is quite good, they're offering very, very nice, comfortable beds. and a tent to cover the glare of the moon so you can sleep in what is a semblance of night, since time does not pass here. It is always midnight under a full moon. So yeah, it's nice to be in a tent where all that light is hidden and you can quite easily rest. But the payment is a story of where you've come from, and each of you must pay. Who wants to go first?
I mean, I guess anybody can be doing this, but I'm the only active prime. At this point, I don't give a crap about where I came from and my rules of keeping things silent. So I guess I can describe my city and the way its layout worked, and kind of where it's sat near the coast, and just what I was aware of its like entrances and tunnels and stuff. But that's the extent of my knowledge. I don't know anything beyond that area.
A lizardman and what appears to be a dog wearing a full suit of plate mail question you a little bit about the topography and seem to be quite interested, making small sketches. At the end, they leave, and it looks like they might be intending to journey in that direction. Who else wants to go?
I shall go. I shall tell them a story about a young man wishing to get it up in the upper leagues of accountancy. So he took a nice cushy job on a prime world, but then it turns for the worse that his employer decided to backstab him, and that is why the courts are needed in the sigil.
There is general applause among the crowd listening, but in particular, a frog wearing a top hat, about 4 foot tall frog person wearing a top hat and a bow tie, approaches you at the end of it and hands you a single copper coin, saying, "That story was worth more than just a meal."
Well, thank you, Mr.
Mr. Toad is fine for now. You may learn my name someday, when you are worthy of it.
I tell them, I don't know my true origins. As far as I can remember, I've always just traveled and been different places and been different people, doing different things. I have no idea where I originally started, or, well, where I will end up, or who I'll end up as.
They seem broadly displeased by this, and were hoping you'd at least recount one of the places you've been, instead of generally saying many.
Oh, well, I mean, I can give like a brief description of the world we were just at and just say what sounds like a nonsensical story about pit lords and giant spiders and so.
They grumble. You've technically did what they asked, but pit lords and giant spiders are things they see all the time. They were hoping for something new and interesting.
All right.
Well, I can. Oh, damn it! I can offer them a potion. You want something new and interesting? Here you go.
While the drinker of the potion is greatly displeased, all of the onlookers are intrigued.
I sit down, pull out some scrolls, and I start from the beginning. I begin my story by saying, at 2:30 p.m. Sigil time, I entered a portal and landed in a city full of raccoon people. I give exact dimensions of the tower and the number of people in the town, and then basically begin going through. It's about 2 hours before I get out of the raccoon city in my storyline, and I begin talking about the road that I was traveling and exact distances.
The moment your character leaves the raccoon city, they all kind of stand up and applaud, You can tell they're not being genuine. They're just trying to get you to be done.
I say, well, very, very well. The Raccoon City is enough for now. We can continue the rest if you wish, at a later time. I am very.
Interestingly, though, not all of them were bored by your continuous recounting. There were a couple in the back that were taking fastidious notes. You imagine that the precise dimensions of the tree are now recorded in more than one journal.
Excellent.
All right, and lastly, Mara tells a story about the groves back in her home cities of Danuan, and just a childhood story of going there, eating apples, and yeah, it's heartwarming, not particularly adventurous, but it does the job. And so all of you get a quality 6 rest, meaning you can remove 6 taxes, as well as transition any taxes you need to into your endurance. Max, this is also an excellent place to restock, as they have plenty of materials for you to trade for to rebuild.
Yeah. Other than the potion thing, I didn't really have any other like taxes or anything.
That's an amazing, amazing boon. It drops my endurance tax from 10 to 8.
Which one?
I wake up the next day still looking haggard and rubbing my sore legs.
Something about the meal that they gave you, though, makes the stairs far less impactful. You find your body feeling light as you traverse the stairs back up to the landing. And the rest of the trip, you do not find yourself taxed. This effect will only last for 1 day, but that's all that you need to get to the door you were looking for. The door is just hanging in the air. You had to go off a little side path down some stairs. There were a couple interesting filigreed railings, which is unusual for the staircase. And then at the end of the path, just floating in the infinite space, surrounded by stars and under the light of moon, is a innocuous-looking wooden door.
Well, friends, I believe this is the end of my journey. You're all welcome to come in here with me. I would advise you not to touch anything.
What is through here?
It's someone's house. We're breaking into someone's house.
Oh, that's very chaotic. Sure, why not?
It's perfectly legal, I assure you. And so I open the door and I walk in.
All right, you walk into a painter's studio. You've come out of a door that you are pretty sure is a supply closet for his paints and raw materials. Easels are set up, and surrounding it is a lot of art. You're pretty sure all this art in one place, in addition to his easels and supply closet, is what summoned the door. Your estimation is that if he moved the art out of this room, it would probably cause enough of a dissipation for the door to go away. Or if he started storing his supplies elsewhere, that might help as well. He might have to do both. You're not sure. But you can advise him on that when the time comes. For the moment, though, you have successfully subverted all of his elaborate security measures and are inside his most precious place. His art, by the way, is really good.
I'm going to attempt to summon him, basically, and sort that out. I'll recommend all those things. I'll also recommend worst case scenario, just hire someone to come shut the portals. There are magical locks to these sorts of things.
He thanks you for your time. He says, I hope you're not charging me extra for all this extra help you brought.
I say, no, I just sort of picked them up along the way. The friends we make along the way, I say.
He eyes them suspiciously, as though one of them may have snuck one of his paintings into their pocket somehow. His paintings, by the way, are like gigantic. They're like full wall-to-wall nonsense. But nevertheless, he is suspicious that somehow you shrunk a painting and put it in your pocket.
What does he see?
I
when he looks at
technically
me?
can do that, but I'm not.
So, may I offer you any refreshments before we go? It is a lovely morning, he says as he walks over to the balcony. Stepping out on the balcony, you guys see the city that you're in, all around you, including above you. The city is on the inside of, like, the inside of a donut, or the inside of a tire. More like a tire, because it curves outward in all directions. You could also think of it as being on the inside of a sphere, but the sphere has been chopped up so that there are two large holes where light is pouring in. The city appears to be made primarily of a sort of beige stone with rusted copper used for roofs all over the place. But nothing strikes you so much as the size of it, because you've seen the valley from the mountaintop. You've seen the size of your cities. This city isn't just bigger than your cities. This city is bigger than the whole valley that contained all 5 of your cities. And it's wrapped itself in a ring where, looking up above you, miles away, there is more city. There's so much city that the city is divided into sections. You can see clear districts where the qualities of the air are different. And swarming all throughout, tiny little dots that, when you start to notice the ones closer to you, are people flying by on carpets. Usually in large groups, one person at the head and other people sort of huddled together in the middle, looking bored, as one does when riding a public transit. The people who walk up the side of the city end up just being upside down as they get to the top. But the city makes a full loop. You imagine this city would take you more than maybe 2.5 weeks to fully traverse on foot. It is by far the most massive thing you've ever seen. The particular neighborhood you're in is quite posh, though. A little bit of white marble here and there, statues, gardens. But up above in the greater city, you see black clouds of smoke around a foundry the size of what you would have considered a city before you saw this place. Dark warrens. Yeah.
What race am I? I want to see if I fit in here.
It doesn't matter, you fit in here.
From the look on your expression, the artist says, it seems like this is your first time seeing the city of doors. He's speaking to you,
And me.
Loken.
I'm just kind of like trying to take everything in, and I just make a comment. I've really only been above ground for a month or so, and that's just my response.
He says, don't worry. Not everyone here was born here. A lot of them like to say that they're, natives, but we all have our first experience gazing into the greatness of infinity. It may seem for a time like you've just come from a grain of sand and are now swimming in the ocean. But when you get your feet, you'll realize that the ocean has much to offer you and can help you move your grain of sand. And that's where we're going to close it for the night.
As someone who came from the ocean, those are wise words.
All right. I'd like to nominate one to Kite for his bow moment, just like oh god, they're gonna be trapped somewhere where they don't know where they are. Here, take this as my final offering. I'd like to give one to Max for the. Oh, you look a bit thirsty. Here, have some tea. And to one to Echelon for what's it? One second. For basically being a pretty good guide to help all the lemons that are in the party currently after the whole kerfuffle with the siege engine and the whole pit lord and stuff. That's everyone.
Let's see. Yeah, one to Echelon for trying to make sure everybody's that's new to the area gets acquainted. We'll see Tice for while everybody was running for portals, he was trying to do his damnedest to take on a pit lord. Was it Kite? I'm trying to think. I know you did stuff, but I was like in and out, deal with my dogs. Oh, your stealth stuff that ended up getting you like behind the portal was pretty cool. And for everything that you saw in the last 3 or 4 portals, being pretty calm about it.
There's like vomit everywhere.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so Troy for convincingly playing a confused Prime because you were legitimately just confused about what the hell's happening. Max for being a chaos tech, it's going to make things interesting. We'll see how that goes. I am gonna make an effort to statistically determine the rules behind your changing. I think one of my first loopholes might be that I get to choose what you get changed as or something. Yeah, and then
which reminds me, you're a dwarf now.
Oh yeah, okay. That's what I was asking. I was like, "What's my new one?"
Your clothes don't quite fit right.
Ties for basically epically harming yourself in an attempt to escape being chained by a demon spider, and a good use of pulling out all the stops.
Yeah, so Tice definitely for the melting of the sword decision on that. Like using everything you had to not take health damage was impressive. We gave enough to essentially for all the characters did. So Max for the quick thinking druid barricade and the druid like sinkhole. Those were good. And then Ed for just previous knowledge, did he seemed mostly like a person, right? He didn't really seem. He seemed weird, but not like a man made of steam.
Yeah, I am mostly not weird. and
So
mostly, I am mostly made of steam, but I am mostly not.
So for someone that was seemingly described, like I remember you being described for the most part humanoid and everything, it wasn't super out of place. There were just like characteristics, but um, your reposition description movement is fantastic. Where you basically fade out shadow step essentially, which was very cool. And I'm gonna be the most boring person in this party, especially since I have no idea what the fuck's going on at all ever. So this can be good.
Primes are
Oh.
extraordinarily dangerous because they have no fucking idea what's going on at all.
Yeah, things can change with your character like any given moment. Trust me,
That's
you
great.
can make one choice, and the next thing you know, you have a bag full of acid bees.
Hey, or
Yes, it'd be.
yeah, or you could, or one moment you could cut a planet in half.
Yeah.
Should be
Yeah.
good.
Welcome to where the big fish swim. I gotta say, like, for me, my favorite moment of the whole thing was just that moment of, like, because it's so cinematic, it's straight out of a movie, right? Like, the portal is closing, she's got a flame whip wrapped around her, pulling her back, but she throws the bow through the portal and almost, like, gets the first couple letters of the password to activate the bow out before portal closes. That's straight out of a movie for me. I like that scene. Anyway, so everyone remember that you just have 3 people each give you an experience point, so don't forget to mark that on your character sheet. I believe it put everybody up to 11 earned, unless you've modified your earn for some weird reason. And we shall resume this next week, where you guys get to step out into the City of Doors and have your first encounters with the factions.
I'm still waiting for the day that we're like, all right, we're gonna go to whateverville, and I'm like, okay, Max, you're oh crap, they don't like those races here. Uh-oh.
I mean, statistically, can you figure that out ahead of time?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you'll be called lemons or crudes. Interplaners call you crudes. That's my typical thing.
Yeah, you've given me like 3 or 4 names so far.
Everyone calls you primes. Lemons is slang. Lemons and limes. Primes.
I'm getting
Uh,
less disheveled, so I'll be able to start asking questions now, most likely. And that's how
clueless
I'll
is
do it.
another standard word for primes. The clueless. The clueless can be used
That'll
for
be nice.
non-primes too.
It'll be nice. I'll be learning through my character because he's learning this entire time.
That's one of the reasons I like for first-time players to play as a prime, is because it gives them an opportunity to learn where they're not expected to have knowledge. Because once you choose to play as a planer, I really take the gloves off. I just tell you what's going on, and it's up to you to know what's going on.
Gotcha. I'd probably have to do an abundant amount of research on that. So let me know ahead of time if you're gonna murder my character. So
Well, like, if Tice had really pushed to go through one of the other portals, like, there were some bad places he might have ended up at. And, you know, I'm going to describe what you see, and that's what you head into. A nice grassy field full of flowers, sure.
Yeah,
The way it was
nasty.
just the way that it was described to me whenever we first started was, well, what do you want to be? I don't know. What can I be? I don't know. What's out there that you want to be? You can be literally anything. Like, anything? Yes, literally anything, but it gets power tuned. Oh, okay. So you may have already created like a base character, so you could technically change it. You just have to be on your path to that if that was what you wanted to do. But like, just imagine that there's almost nothing out of your reach if you're willing to like work toward it. Things can get pretty nuts.
It gives me so much and so little information at the same time. As does everything that you guys have said tonight.
To
Well,
give you an idea,
the
like,
giant demon that beat the living shit out of us, like there's a bar in Sigil and it's got those guys in it. And they just drink molten sulfur. Right. I mean, like,
yeah, we had a guy try to tame one of those with a contract once. Didn't work.
but it is outer planes, so these are the planes of philosophy. I'm from the inner planes, which are the planes of matter, and so I also had immense amounts of culture shock. And to be honest, like my character probably had more culture shock than your character coming into the outer planes. Like you're used to things that think and don't just obey rules of matter, you know.
Oh, yeah, I gotcha.
Because the prime is like the intersection of the inner planes and the outer planes. Matter and belief. Belief is pretty new to me.
What
That's why I
about
joined the
belief?
fraternity of order, because the inner planes are perfectly ordered, and I assume the outer planes are as well. I just need to figure out what that order is, and it's a bit confusing right now. So I'm working on it. I'm taking my tests. You know.
Yeah, I think the big event next week will be introducing you to the factions and giving you an opportunity to choose a faction. You are allowed to remain factionless as a prime. Primes are one of the exceptions that are permitted to be in Sigil without a faction affiliation.
You can also pick a fight with virtually anybody in Sigil. Just don't do it with the Lady of Blades. Just leave her alone. Everybody else, if you want, go ahead.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and I will see you guys. I'll see some of you on Sunday for the Stellar Sunday, and some of you next week for the next continuation of this.
All right.
Already.